Okay, it's finally started, my friends. I've been talking about the giants of the past being real. Now they're starting to go back at it again. Loch Ness Center wants new generation of monster hunters for biggest search in 50 years. This just came out August 6, 2023. This is CBS News. It started, they realized all this stuff was not nonsense, and what I have discovered is stunning. And because I discovered it years ago, I have documented a lot of research on this and a lot of the statements that were made in the past. And I'm telling you, it's stunning, it's spectacular, and it's scary as hell. Okay, this is going to be a real shorty. This is from a monstrous giant, about 500 times our size. I don't know what kind of a creature it was. It could have been human. It has the erector pili muscle there, the sebaceous gland here, the shaft, flat-sided, so it's curly-haired person, I'm told, the root, and the two blood vessels at the bottom. Now, this is 500-ish times bigger than us. So the giants that they talked about were very real. The flood that they said happened long ago has been confirmed by Yale. They agree there was a worldwide flood, and all these mud fossils could have occurred within days, even hours, they said, from hours to days, not millions of years. And they agree with this, one worldwide layer. That's a paper by Yale. Here's the paper. Exceptional preservation, soft-bodied biota, which means creatures, plants, and animals, promoted by silica-rich oceans. Edicarta just means a layer. They named it that. And I presented all my stuff to Derek Briggs at Yale years before this, but then they finally wrote the paper saying, yes, this actually happened. And not only that, it happened. Many of these creatures are bizarre in appearance, do not resemble any organism alive today, said Lydia Tarhan, postdoctoral fellow at Yale. She was the first author. They want to understand, how did this happen? Was it a failed evolutionary experiment? Yes, it was. Zeus destroyed everything because he came down and had sex with all the women. And then they said what they also realized was that during the time of this one layer, much richer in dissolved silica, and I know why that happened, because it was a hot water flood, enabled the transformation of the sands around the animals to turn into rock, or to occur over a matter of hours or years rather than the usual time frame of thousands to millions of years. So they know it was buried rapidly during underwater storm events. Well, the whole world was underwater, so yes, I agree with that. All right, so you see they're starting a new generation of monster hunters, and they should, because they are out there. They're everywhere. This is a giant fingertip on my property. Well, not long. I sold this property, but so it's gone. But this was the fingernail. That's the pad where it bumps into your next bone so they don't scrub. That's the blood vessels. I broke this piece off here so I could go inside and get blood. It ran from here to here is about 36 inches. And here's what the fingerprints look like, because there's still fingerprints on there. It's so well preserved. And all my stuff that's a goose. And his feathers are even preserved. See the feather pattern? And that's because of these silicates, and the silicates happen because of the phospholipids. I know I did all the chemistry. I made my own mud fossils and all that. So anyway, my thumb is the size of one fingerprint ridge. This is a very big creature, and that was DNA tested, excellent quality DNA. And I had another one tested. Well, I had two other ones tested. Now, and because the DNA in the fingertips is just saturated with blood, so you have to get down inside, though. You see here, this layer, you can't get blood out of that. So if you want to try to get stuff, you got to get down inside to where the blood in the fleshy stuff is. Otherwise, it's just scrubby stuff. Anyway, the dragons, Typhon was real, and he was written about in the ancient texts. So let's get a new generation going. I have so much information on this. I have more information on this than anybody in the world, and no question whatsoever about that. I've been contacted by virtually everybody that's been laughed at because they had such a spectacular discovery that nobody would talk to him. This is the exact same thing that happened to me. No toes. We have no toes coming out of our earlobes. All right? And they're feet from creatures that don't exist today. The heel stone at Stonehenge is a foot. You see these little tabs at the end here? Toes and fingers have a vein and an artery right at the end. And of course, you know what a foot or a hand looks like. Let me show you something. You see this? This is the heel stone. I'm not kidding you. This is at Stonehenge. You see the dot right there and that dot right there? This is the end of the toes. It's a little eroded away, so you can see down into the blood vessels. That's where the vein and the artery come to the tips of the toes. This is where it's heavily invested with blood. These are two blood supplies, the vein and artery. This is the vein coming up the foot. That foot attaches, and I don't know, 450 feet up the road or something, there's the rest of Stonehenge. This is the heel stone, and then there was a twin to it. This is and the stuff up at Stonehenge is also from giants. It's all body parts of giants they put back together as a memorial. This goes back 8 years or more. This is Arlie Caudle found this head down in Kentucky, and Jim Burchell and I worked together, and it was rejected and dismissed by academia. So now they're starting to open up. People are going to start. What we need to do is get a documentary. I have all the evidence. I have everything to support what I'm saying. And they say, oh, no, somebody carved this. Look at the nose. All the flesh is splayed off of there. That's blood. All iron oxides are blood. Red blood is iron rich. That's why it's red. The black is when it loses its the oxygen. It's the O2 state. O3 state is the red. So like I say, we should have a documentary based on my book, Mudfossils and Velikovsky and Minds in Collision. We can mix my information that supports Velikovsky, brings him back out of the crazy land zone, and maybe me too at the same time. Because now they realize but you cannot speak if you're in the academic realm. They still won't speak about it. They still won't talk to me because I have just too much evidence that overthrows literally everything they've told you. Geology, history, and it goes way beyond that. It goes into physics and everything else. Because once you get a guy in charge, that's it. They stop everybody else from speaking. It's called peer review. I call it racketeering.